Hello and welcome to the Stateside Soccer Show. My name is Jordan Weekend, and with me today is a man I'm very excited to see in the next G.I. Joe movie. It's Logan Stump.
Hey man, just keep my name out your freaking mouth, all right? Like, I'm serious. My name, your team, like my team, keep them out of your mouth, all right? I'm gonna reach up and slap you.
It works too because Logan is balding. But
You're a jerk. You're a sensitive jerk.
yeah. Well, if you don't know what that's about, you didn't watch the Oscars or haven't been online in the last 24 hours, I guess. But that was all the rage after the U.S. game, by the way. Yeah, because that was like right after the game ended.
Yeah, it was
right?
it was crazy. Like a lot of things have been happening really late at night lately. It's been wild, like waking up to weird news stories like this. It's like, what is happening in the world?
Chris Rock and Will Smith beefing. It's crazy
Right.
time. Yeah, so we're going to be talking the select MLS games that have happened this weekend, and of course, the U.S. men's national team qualifying games as they are on the brink of qualifying for Qatar 2022. It would take a failure to not qualify at this rate. They at least locked up fourth place for the intercontinental playoff against, which is most likely going to be New Zealand, as we've been talking about this whole time. But we've also got Friday, the draft for the Qatar World Cup. The World Cup draw, not draft. I don't know why I said that. The World Cup draw is coming, and maybe on Friday we'll do a little quick 30-minute reaction if the U.S. are able to lock it up on Wednesday, and we'll see who we'd be playing against in the World Cup. What group do you want? A, B, C, D? Like, what group are you looking for?
I think it'd be fun to be Group A just to smack Qatar.
That would be fun.
I think it'd be a lot of fun.
They actually played pretty good in that.
They looked good. And I thought it was fun. I thought it was, it could be fun to play the host. And I think not get too heavy into it, but I think with kind of the things that they stand for and that country stands for and the stuff we kind of stand for, I think it'd be an interesting dynamic. And I'm a poli-sci major, so kind of like that buildup of that kind of aspect to it. But also, I don't know, I think it's just more fun to play the host, right? I think it'd be more fun to play in an atmosphere that was definitely hostile towards us. And I think that it would be cool to kind of see what they come up with, because they always kind of do something pretty cool with the home fans. So yeah, I think there'd be a lot of interesting storylines with that one. So I'm hoping for Group A, and I'm really hoping we don't get like a Group D, group of death kind of thing where it's, us and two of the European monsters that are currently sitting out there. Or, hey, if North Macedonia qualified, Jordan, I think that'd be a lot of fun too, just because of what's going on with them, and they can bounce Portugal and Italy all in the same swipe. So, what group are you looking forward to? Do you want a hard group? Like, would that be?
No, I don't want a hard group. I want a very easy group, and I want to be Group D.
Okay. Group of death.
Yeah, no. Group D.
Group D, like dandelion.
I figured I'd pick a just random group number. Yeah. It means nothing right now.
Absolutely nothing.
Group letter. I can't say anything right today. Okay. So, do we want to start with U.S. or are we going to start with the 3 MLS games? Just knock them out of the way.
Let's just use MLS, and then we'll talk U.S. men's national team.
All right. Charlotte beats Cincinnati at Bank of America Stadium. Swiderski scoring in the 6th and 55th minute as Charlotte get their second win. I seriously can't say anything right today. Their second win. They had more shots on goal. They had less shots in total. 58% possession. I think the XG favored Cincy.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, but Cincinnati just cannot get out of their own way. Now, they are up to 9th place. They did have those 2 back-to-back wins that keep them from the bottom, as so far, race for the bottom of the East is between Montreal and Miami. But what are your thoughts here on Charlotte? They're actually, Swiderski has been the main man. Like, he wasn't originally there right away, He's come in 2 games in a row, I think, with a brace. Luckily for the home fans, they were able to see this win as well. It was at home. Try to get this atmosphere and keep the fans engaged. I think it's really good for Charlotte. What are your thoughts here?
Yeah, it's. I think it's cool to see a DP come in and come in on fire, because I think that's pretty important for a fan base, is getting behind these international
Well, he's
players.
not on the fire. He's on Charlotte.
Right, exactly. And I don't know. They do like to collect that kind of. What is it? Is he Polish? I think they like the Polish strikers. So.
I think so. Yeah.
But yeah, I really do like when a team comes in and they're able to find these DPS, because I think that's a really hard thing to do for teams. As Cincinnati, it seems like DPS are easy to hit the target on for teams that know what they're doing in this league. But for young teams, for teams that are just getting started, they want to go after the big shiny prospect. Maybe that guy has like 20 some goals in like China somewhere, and then they bring him over here, or wherever it might be in South America that they're bringing him over here, and think, okay, well, this is one of those young gun top prospects that we can kind of look at. But I'm really happy that he's come in and really, shouldered a lot of what's going on and leading this team to newer heights. And so far, Jordan, they look like they're not going to be our wooden spoon contenders so far. So it looks like they're headed in the right direction. I think they're building kind of a nice little group with Ben Bender and Swiderski. But again, once you kind of get past those two, it is kind of a quick drop off. I think there's going to be some times where they do struggle a bit, just because I think they've got some talent, but not enough to kind of stick with the playoff teams in the East. So, but I'd be happy with this. 44,000 show up to the Charlotte game at home, and so that's a pretty good sign of things. So I guess we'll see how that carries on. I know fans have been constantly tweeting at Charlotte saying that the ticket prices are a little ridiculous still, but so far so good. But Cincinnati, again, a lot of trouble for Cincy, and it just doesn't seem like it's going to go as well as they want it to this year. Maybe they don't get wooden spoon, but I just don't see this team being very competitive.
Yeah, well, a good start for them right now. Better than we had thought.
Yeah.
So far. So far, they're not fooked.
No.
Not screwed. I don't have a Michael Scott clip that doesn't say they're screwed.
We are fine.
We are fine. I need to find something like that. Okay, let's go on to SKC versus RSL. Sporting Kansas City get a late winner that they really needed through Johnny Russell in the 81st minute. And RSL, who had a really good start to the season, Sporting Kansas City, though, really needed this one, Logan.
Yeah, you couldn't come out of this one, especially at Children's Mercy, and lose to RSL, who looks like they're vying for a playoff spot once again this year, which we thought no. We thought that it could be kind of a struggle for RSL, but it looks like Kansas City. That's a big win on the road against Kansas City in Kansas City. And I thought RSL played pretty well looking back through the game. I thought they had a chance to get into this and possibly win it. But I guess it never really kind of came together for them, and they couldn't get any goals. They had a couple of chances, but Sporting Kansas City really did seem to have the upper hand in the second half, whenever you look at it. And then Johnny Russell gets a cleanup goal in the 80-something minutes. So it really, in those last 10 minutes, RSL just kind of gives up that goal and can't collect a point, which would have been big on the road, I think, in Sporting Kansas City. One that they'll probably look back at the end of the year, maybe a 1-point difference somewhere in the standings. They kind of look back at that game and think maybe could have collected a point there. But, yeah, overall, good performance from RSL still. Good defensively. And then Sporting trying to get up off the mat and looked a little bit better in this one.
Yeah, that was just a good result for Sporting Kansas City. That moves them all the way up to, where did my standings one go? There it is. Up to 8th place. They're just outside a playoff spot after they were kind of lingering in 13th? No, 12th. They were in 12th because Nashville has 4 points. So that helps them. The bad thing is we only had 3 teams in the West play 5 games so far. So we got to hold on here because They could still end up a little lower due to the fact that these other teams have games in hand right now. Okay, let's see here. We had one last game, a game that Logan just said I can't say their name.
You can.
I got to keep that out of
can,
my
I
mouth.
guess.
But it
All
was
right.
Portland versus Orlando at Providence Park. And Van Rankin with a red card in the 76th minute after Orlando took the lead through Junior Urso. And then a penalty kick in the 80th minute for Paredes for Portland, who's going to convert that, make it 1-1. So I'm sure as an Orlando fan, you would have wanted all 3 points after having the lead, but Portland's a tough place to go and get a point, and you come out with a win at LA and a point at Portland. And so far, Orlando is going to sit 4th place, just 2 points behind the Union in first. That's a pretty good start after some good teams.
Yeah, and I thought, I mean, Orlando played well enough to win. And then I thought when the Van Rankin thing happened, I thought for sure Orlando would at least stepped on the gas a little bit more and kind of punished them. They get the equalizer, and then it still felt like Orlando had the chances. Like at the end of the match, we had the ball most of the time down on our end, and we had a couple chances to put ourselves ahead and just kind of squandered them a little bit. And I thought Orlando was going to come out of it with 3 points, and that would have been quite a West Coast swing if you had taken 3 points at LA and 3 points at Providence. But 4 points on the road, I mean, a lot of Orlando fans were like, oh, we should have won that game. They were all up in arms on Twitter. But anytime you are presented with like a Providence and then Dignity Park, or if you're talking about going to Lumen and then maybe the LAFC and the Bank, it's like, if you're going to give me 2 of those teams, Jordan, I take 4 points every single time. That's a huge result for us. And I think that's a really good 2 games on Western teams that, like, I mean, everybody's scheduled those Western clubs, and the Western clubs seem to be a little bit more difficult to beat, especially on the road. And we went in there, especially Providence, and really showed that we could have won that game, played well, and now we have to come back home to play LAFC. So it's a tough stretch. If you can collect 7 points out of 9 points when you get those 3, the gauntlet, I'd say that's a pretty successful bounce back after you drop some points against the Cincinnati team.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to find the stats for it right now, but
we were pretty even on goals or shots on goal.
Well, I meant okay, so here you go. Union versus Timbers.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So for all matches, they haven't played each other that much, Philly and Portland, but at Providence Park has been all Timbers. There was one draw that the Union got, it looks like. That doesn't seem right, though. Which one was... We played them in 2020 before everything shut down, I thought. But it doesn't have it listed here. Was that somewhere else? I'm trying to figure out. FB Ref has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They have 5 games at Providence Park with the Timbers winning 4 of those and a 1-1 draw is what FB Ref has. So it is a tough place to go get some points. And I'm, as a Union are, some of the top, is one of the top teams in the East right now.
Mm-hmm.
So looking at that, though, the last time they've played them in Portland looks to have been 2018. So kind of before they got really good, though. So I don't know how they would do now. But it's a tough place to go get some points. I mean, let's look at head-to-head versus Orlando and Portland Timbers. I can check that while we're going. But that's a pretty big deal to go there and get those type of points, because it's just not Look, I mean, Orlando kind of disappointed a little bit last year, right? So the fact that they've been able to get get the points on the road like they just did there with a win against the Galaxy on the road, a draw, it kind of makes up for that home loss, wouldn't you say, to Cincy?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think going into that, I mean, seriously, you're looking at Portland and LA, and I was thinking honestly, like realistically, it could be 2 points, and that would be okay. I would never have thought we'd have grabbed in and grabbed 4, especially just the way that I think we struggle to score at times. I just didn't think playing the Galaxy in their place would have gone very well. I thought maybe because the way Portland had played, there had been real good form. You could go in there and maybe grab a point, but to grab 4 and then head home to play an LAFC team, I mean, seriously, like you said, if we grab 1 or 3 in the next game, I would say that's a pretty tough stretch to grab 5. So, but we should be getting 7.
All right, what do you think? What do you think here? Timbers versus Orlando City. There's been 4 meetings at Providence Park between the two. How many has Orlando won?
They have not won.
Yeah, they won in 2015.
Did they really?
2-0.
I think I saw that clip on Fox now that you say that.
Then they lost in 2017 to Portland, and they drew in 2019 1-1, and then they just drew 1-1 this time. Those are their tops. They actually do pretty good in Providence Park, but for other clubs that can be a difficult spot.
Yeah, move us to the Cascadian region then. Like, I'm all for it. Let's go.
Yeah. Lost in the final though. In Florida too.
Yeah,
Jeez,
MLS is back.
That was brutal.
That's so fun.
That was some of the first Orlando City games Logan was watching. We had just launched stoppage time at that point.
We did. Yeah.
We talked a little bit about it on there.
I was helping you cover the MLS is back.
Yeah.
I was randomly watching it and covered it with you, but
that was nice. Portland are in 9th place, and like I mentioned, Orlando in 4th, though they have played 5 games. So we'll see how it shakes out from there, but they're 2 points up on Charlotte. Wow, so you were actually behind Charlotte. Oh, that was before. Yeah, you were behind Charlotte.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. It's interesting. No, never mind. Charlotte just got 3 points. They had 3 points. You were behind Cincy, though. You were behind Cincy.
Good team, Cincy.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk some U.S. men's national team. But before we do, why don't we take a short break, and we'll be right back. All right. Well, you know what that means when MLS season is starting, Logan. Do you know what that means?
Yeah, Academy Awards.
No, the baseball season is about to start here. We've ramped up to spring training here. And this is one place on the field you can hit something with a bat, though, not with your open palm fist. And that is the baseball. So we have a baseball podcast as well called the Extra Innings Baseball Show. And you can find that on your favorite devices as well. Produced by Logjam Sports. But yes, we have baseball coming up. And what preview did we just wrap up, Logan?
We did the AL East and the NL East, Jordan. So, and spoiler alert, we actually think that the World Series winner might be coming out of that show. So just kind of stay tuned for our predictions, I guess, for the season predictions we're getting ready to do after the next 2. So.
See, that's the kind of stuff you would get if you listen to the show. But yes, we're very excited to start our baseball coverage over on Extra Innings. But until then, check it out, and we will be right back to the soccer talk. And we are back from our break, and we're going to talk U.S. men's national team. I think I had an original opening for the podcast related to this, but the Chris Rock, Will Smith stuff just totally overshadowed that I don't even remember what my opening that I was planning was. But Logan, they are 1 game away. They just can't lose by 6.
I still can't believe it, honestly. And one of my students, he's Scottish, and he actually went to the game last night and was talking, and he had given me a hard time about, and he's big into soccer. He loves watching the Scottish team. He loves listening to the rhetoric in behind like the United States not being very good, and like he's like, who are these players? Who do these Americans think they are? He's kind of in that mindset. He came back to me today and he said, I'm sorry for anything I've ever said about the U.S. men's national team. To be honest with you, I was impressed with like most of their team because that was a lot of fun to watch. He said, if that's the way they play, they're a scary team. He goes, I didn't even know who Tyler Adams was. I didn't even know how good Pulisic could be. They're like, Gio Reyna is massive in person. I didn't realize he was that big, Jordan. But I guess he's huge. Looks like a fortress. But it was really nice to hear that. And I'm seriously, I'm sitting here, and like you said, we're one game away. And as long as we don't fall apart like a cheap chair, I think we're going to be fine. Like, I think it'll be easy to qualify. It'll be like, just going to sleep at night. And I think it'll be, it's just crazy. Like, I'm still shocked. Like, is that bad? Like, we were sitting here saying how confident we were in this team to qualify. And if I can remember correctly, you said 70%?
Last week?
Yeah, I think it was 70 for you.
Yeah, I think
Something
I
like
went
that.
as low as 70.
Yeah. But like, I don't know. I was elated. I was like giddy laughing when they were scoring. Like, it was one of those instances where it had that feeling again of like when the Cubs were on the doorstep of the World Series. That's what it felt like.
It was a lot of fun. We first had the Mexico versus U.S. game, which a lot of debate, Logan, before the show. I mean, before the game. I don't know if we really touched on it, but the debate of, do you rest your players or not? And I kind of leaned more towards, don't rest them, because just go for it, right?
Yeah.
Like, while that game doesn't mean as much, look, we were at home against Panama. We should beat Panama even with our backups in if we start at the starters against Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
And that actually gave us the best chance, because I think if we're starting our backups and, I think, one, it's putting the mentality of the team of, we don't need to worry about this game. And I don't think that's the mentality this squad needed. This squad needed the mentality of, every game matters. We're going to go out there and try to win because we need to qualify.
Mm-hmm.
And so I thought Greg read that right. And then we had this game, which, worked out really well. And actually, the U.S. probably should have won against Mexico, though there were some Mexican chances that were, I remember Aaron Long clearing one that was close to going to goal. And now we have this game, which finished 5-1, right?
Right.
If I remember the score right.
Yeah.
5-1, and, Pulisic with the penalty, Areola in the 23rd, Fiera in the 27th, Pulisic with another penalty, and then Pulisic with the very sexy finish that he had that I've watched a lot today and yesterday. Just class to finish his hat trick, and his first hat trick for the U.S. men's national team.
Yeah, that finish was probably one of the best finishes I've seen. Like, it was majorly impressive. Like, the fact that he could keep the ball under control in such a tight space and then get it around the defender who was also in that tight space. It was like, man, how did he do that? LeBron James' soccer is clearly what happened. But no, I mean, it was like you said, Jordan, the Mexico game and then that debate. Like, I think Greg got it right. I think Greg played this window correctly. I think that, and I. To be honest with you, on Wednesday, you're going to see a pretty full strength squad, I would think. Like, I think he'd play a majority of these guys just because I think you still have to go out there and make sure you don't get beat 6-0. So it's like, I think Pulisic might get some rest. I think you might see Tyler Adams get some rest. But I still think you might see a mixture of like a Kellen Acosta. I think you might see De La Torre again. I think you'll see maybe some Musa. Like, I still think you're going to see some remnants of this team that played before in the Panama and Mexico game. I wouldn't be shocked if you saw Timmy Weah play just because he didn't get to play yesterday. Maybe some Yedlin as well. So I think you're going to get to see some of the lineups and the remnants of those lineups. But again, all it is now is about going out there and not getting hurt. and playing at least a competitive game. And I think you can do that with some of the guys that they have that were currently sitting on the bench or were sitting on the bench, and you can kind of poke those in. And it's kind of what we saw at the end of the game last night.
Yeah, I mean that was look. I think I don't want to skip ahead to Costa Rica yet, but I do think that you're probably going to have a few of these players take part in it. What we've read since then is that Costa Rica has 9 players.
Yeah.
That if they got a yellow could miss the playoff game. There's no way they're going to want to risk that because they need to score 6 or 7 to move on to third place. So I think for them, it's going to look. They're going to get the 4th place. Costa Rica is probably going to beat New Zealand and get into the playoff, get into the World Cup. I mean, they are a strong squad. The fact that they were not so high earlier this year, and I think it was since like the December window that they really turned it around.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
And have just really a phenomenal job to be able to get to where they are now. And Panama, who was like the surprise team, right, is now officially out of it, which is crazy. And but it's exactly what you needed for the U.S. is to get this early penalty and then really start putting the pressure on, because once it was 4-0, Panama's frustrated. There's no way that they were going to get back into this, and I think they knew it themselves and that they were running out of time.
Yeah, it's got to be hard as a fan base, and we've talked about not qualifying last time, right? We talked about how difficult it is to sit out and not watch your team play in the World Cup, and it sucks. It really sucks. Like, I can remember I just didn't have as much interest. It wasn't as fun. Like, it's fun. It's a fun competition, probably one of the best competitions in the world.
It felt different. It felt like watching the Euros. It really
Yeah.
felt different. You're like, I don't have a team, whatever.
Yeah. And like, honestly, when I start rooting for the U.S., I start to watch other games because I know the U.S. is in it, and I start to get rooting interest for other countries if the U.S. doesn't make it. So I'm more involved with the actual games itself when the U.S. is involved. And to not have our team in that summer, and it was brutal because I had summer off. Like, I was traveling, but I still had summer off. I could have watched a lot of those games, but again, I didn't get to see as many, and the U.S. wasn't there. So, and it was always sad to kind of, because I understood, because you'd explain it to me, like, why they weren't there. But could you imagine being a U.S. fan and you go to, oh man, here comes the World Cup, it's coming up. Well, that's kind of the way that Panama feels right now, right? I think that they feel that, like, your team, you're going to turn on the World Cup and your team's not there, and it is disappointing. It's horrible for the team. It does kind of put a big damper on your culture. Like, it's hard to kind of bring that soccer culture back up, and we saw what happened. It caused a gap year like no other, Jordan. And it really, I mean, some of those players that were seen as legendary kind of fizzled out, and you're kind of like, man, that, like, what could have been, right? Like, like Christian Pulisic, if we didn't qualify this time, I mean, he goes down as one of I mean, he's supposed to be the captain. He goes down as maybe a very average player for the U.S. men's national team, because you're looking at him and going, that's 2 times, dude. Like, that's 2 times you've been on this team and really have had an impact on the team, and you still couldn't do it. And I think that weighed on him. But again, it was very cool. The atmosphere was fantastic. I hope that kind of gives Orlando a foot up and maybe getting a host city here for the World Cup coming up in 2026. But yeah, I don't know. Overall, I mean, like you said, like, were you watching that last night, Jordan, going, oh my gosh, like, I now have a month, well, it's not a month, but I'm like, I now have a World Cup to watch where, like, my team is going to be in the freaking World Cup. And it's just like, that feeling just gets you, like, juiced. I don't know. There's no way to explain how it makes you feel as a country, but it does. It's something that unites this country in a time where everything seems so divided. And I think that's kind of what's cool about it. So I'm excited. Yeah, I'm not excited where it is, but I'm excited to kind of see how it all comes together.
Yeah, no, I mean, that was definitely something that kind of hit me, and as we were texting about it too, right? Of that this is, I can now go get my Panini stickers when they come out,
Yeah.
right? Like,
right.
because I mean I collected them even when we weren't in it, but it's just something different when it's your team in it, and being able to do that and be able to go out there and get something like the panini stickers that the last time I was able to collect them that had US players on it was the 2014 World Cup, and then also the 2016 Copa America had some.
Right.
But that was just one of those things that is kind of like an essential thing that I usually like to collect around the World Cup, and 2018 didn't feel the same. I'm opening up packs and there's no American player for me to kind of look at, and see how it goes. But at this rate, at least, we're close. I don't want to jump the gun still, but it is close enough, right? It's like
you can taste it. Like I guess, how would you explain this in other sports so other people would get it? Like it's like if you were up 3-1 in a series and you were going into the ninth inning with like a 6-run lead, like that's how it feels. Like it feels like 6 goals is a lot of goals, and for us to not score, like it would be a failure of drastic proportions that it probably would go down as like one of the worst sports collapses anybody's ever seen. Like that's how bad it would have to be. Like you would really have to do that. So yes, it's hard not to be like, we're doing it. But it's also like, isn't that bad? As U.S. men's national team fans, we're sitting here going, worse things have happened.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think Costa Rica's only scored 11 goals.
Yeah.
Or something like that. They have not scored a lot of goals, so it's really not going to probably be that much of an issue.
Yeah, they scored 11.
11 goals in 11 games?
Matches.
13 matches. I think the worst we've lost there before is 4-0.
Yeah.
Which is close. That's close to that's close to
that's a little scary.
6-0.
Yeah. Thanks, Jordan.
But we're probably, if they have to rest their guys for that, and if we're gonna probably sit back and counter,
which we've done pretty well over the last couple of matches. Like our possession has been brutal.
Our defense is good.
Yep. Oh yeah, like we're an anchor, and I don't know if Stefan will play. So maybe that's a benefit because he looked awful.
Right.
Maybe Horvath gets a start here, which honestly, if he or Sean Johnson at this point, I'm like, dude, either one of them at this point. And I think Greg does give them a shot maybe. So, because Stefan didn't look right. Like Stefan, even when he wasn't playing well, he was still hurt. Like he looked very rough. So I don't know. Do you throw Horvath in? Like, is that something you do, or you throw a not healthy Stefan in goal?
That's a good question. For me, I think I'd probably be fine with it. Stefan scared the crap out of me.
Right.
These past 2 games, really. And
do you think Matt Turner's number one? Like in your mind now that you've seen this? Because this has been 2 windows now where Zach.
I don't know though, because the issue with Matt Turner is if he goes in the summer to Arsenal like he's supposed to, he's going to be on the bench. I mean, it's really going to be a game time decision. But I think Stefan is Greg's guy.
Mm-hmm.
They've played together before, so I think that is probably going to be the starter. But Stefan, as a whole, really just scared me with some of his
coming out to get the ball. It was terrifying. That one that they put across, Jordan, the one that it was like a cross that he put across, and he came out and he almost didn't get to it. It was like he'd mistimed it. And it was like, what is he doing? And then he kind of like fumbled it, and he was like, where'd it go? But it's the same stuff he does at City. It's the exact same thing. I've seen it. It's in those cup games. He looks so like he's second guessing. It's what he's doing. He doesn't know what he's doing. He doesn't think he's confident enough to do it. So he hesitates. And that split second of hesitation, like I just, it feels like that's going to be an issue.
Mm-hmm.
Stefan just makes me nervous. I don't know what it is about it, but
And he's always been that way. Like, I don't think
yeah.
this is something that's just developed because he's a backup. I just think he's kind of shaky in the back at times. There's also some moments where they're playing it back to him to kick it out of the back that were just so nerve-wracking when you're like, what are we, like, just get rid of it. Especially when we're only up like 2-0 or 1-0, because at that point the momentum can change at any time. And then of course what I wanted to do is not give up a goal. It was almost a perfect match, Logan.
Yeah. No, it would have been so much better. I mean, we'd have the 7 goal cushion, which it sounds crazy, but the more goals, the merrier. And you're right. When we gave that up, it was just like, and part of the problem is like his hesitancy makes the defense hesitant at times, because I think the center backs are like, are you going to come get this? Or are you not going to come? What are you doing? But then I think it's distribution too. Like, I think Greg expects him to be like Ederson. Like, Greg almost expects like whatever he's learned from Ederson will be, he's that kind of distributing goalkeeper. There's nobody in the world like Ederson. So it's like, why would you try to make this guy into something he's really not? I mean, he really isn't that great at distributing passes. A lot of his are to the side, and they kind of come off his foot weird, which has never been thrilling. But again, I guess we'll figure it out, and hopefully he plays a little bit better.
Yeah, there was one near at the very far end, right of the box.
Yeah.
That he hits all the way across to a player in the left side of the box.
Yeah.
That was scary. I thought the Panamanian player was gonna just run and pick that up. Overall, look, it's as good as you can get, right? I mean, I guess as good as you could get would have been 5-0, right? So to have that goal, just because it would have been them needing 7 goals to move on for Costa Rica. Now it's 6. Again, you should be fine. With them having the yellow card issue. Also, if you get a red card in the next game or the playoff, you miss the World Cup.
Yeah.
Like the first game of it.
Yeah. They'll be playing conservatively.
For us, it would be if you get a red, from what I read, if you get a red card in the next game, that transfers over to your next international match of FIFA competitions. That'd be the first game of the World Cup. And if you get a red card in the playoff, so if Costa Rica gets a red card, they would miss the playoff game, but they would still be able to play the first game of the World Cup. But if we, move on to finish third or second, then they would miss the first game of the World Cup. So that's how it works out. Yeah. We play Costa Rica 9:05, and you can watch it on Paramount Plus, Universo, or Peacock. Peacock would have the Spanish broadcast. 9:05. And then 9:05 is Mexico versus El Salvador and Panama versus Canada. All of those games at 9:05. Canada has clinched their ticket to the World Cup, first time since 1986. So congratulations, Canadian friends. I've been rooting for you to get to a World Cup for a while. I remember when Di Rosario played for them, and I was like, man, Dwayne Dero needs to get to a World Cup. Unfortunately, they couldn't get there at that time. But this Canadian squad, Logan, is just fantastic.
Alphonso Davies, Jonathan Rosario, you've got guys like that. You've got I'm like blanking on names now all of a sudden. Tyjon Buchanan, very talented roster. Richie Larea.
Kyle Aaron.
Yeah, Kyle Aaron. Like, that, just stacked and unbelievable talent and depth, attacking options for days. The Jonathan David one's really fun to watch, just because I think that he really is somebody that could get on a really hot streak and just take you through. Kind of like when you remember when Van Persie went on that streak with the Netherlands and was scoring. It was like his Superman goal that he had scored, that header. It was like he and Iron Robin went nuts. And like, all it takes in a World Cup is that. Like, it takes that one person to just kind of go on this spree. And you can really do a lot of crazy things in the World Cup. So, but like you said, Jordan, I mean, it's really cool to see Canada and the U.S. For those that are not serious followers of World Cup. They don't really know how it works. We can't play each other in the group stages, so we can root our little hearts out for Canada and hope that they kind of get through to the next round out of their groups. So I think the only region that's allowed to play each other, I think there's 2 per Europe, or like 2 teams from Europe per group that can get through it. I think there's 13 total. I was looking at it today, just like trying to understand the draw, but from what I gather, you can't score somebody in your same region unless you're European. So it'll be cool to see Canada play against other teams, and hopefully, I think it'd be fun for them to get a group of death because I think they're a talented bunch that could maybe keep up with some of those teams. So I think they're formidable, man. I'm telling you, I think Canada's got, if they can stay healthy, they've got a good chance to make a nice little run as well. I think they've kind of got that round of 16 and in sight, just like the U.S. does. So hopefully, all fingers crossed, we all play well and stay healthy. Staying healthy is a big key.
And as we said, the draw's on Friday. I believe they're playing on an FS1 or one of these channels. I'm trying to find an article about it. They played an ad for it during the game, but I cannot, for the life of me, find it on their site.
I think it's on Paramount.
No, it would be Fox because they have the FIFA World Cup rights. Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
But from what I see, is that it should be on one of the Fox channels or on their website. 11:30, I think they're doing a preview show, but the actual draw, when I looked it up, it says 12 o'clock. Now, of course, remember, FIFA takes their sweet time on these award shows and draws and stuff, so I'm not sure how long that's actually going to take. I'm trying to make sure I time my lunch appropriately on Friday so I can sit back and watch these World Cup draws. But I'm really excited. This is when the World Cup gets real. This is when you're like, okay, we got a group. We can look at groups and start predicting and projecting how it's going to look.
Jordan and I have decided to do a 32-team preview, and we're going to start it now, and we're going to go all the way up until we're going to cover all their qualifying games, go game by game.
Oh, geez, that'd be too much. But we are going to do some sort of preview.
It'd be fun to do a group preview. How about that?
Yeah, that'd be fun. Like a group preview. Yeah. Closer to the World Cup, building up to maybe we could start it like in the month building up to it.
Yeah. That'd be good. Get hyped.
Because if you do there's 8 groups, we could do 2 groups a week and just 2 episodes a week of building up to the World Cup.
Yeah.
Look at that. Live on air, figuring this out.
Yeah.
How it's going to work.
Yeah. It looks, Jordan, like it's going to be on Telemundo.
Yes, well, they should have it too. Yep, because Telemundo and Universo and NBC, all them, they own the Spanish rights to the World Cup.
But I'm not seeing I'm not seeing like a U.S. broadcast. I wouldn't be shocked if it's on like a website. I know it's on Sky Sports.
That's what I'm thinking. I wonder if it's on Fox's website. I'm trying to find it so I can record it on my DVR, but if not, it looks like I might have to.
NBC Sports says it's only on Telemundo, so it might be one of those things.
Well, NBC Sports wants to drive you to Telemundo because they own it.
That's true. This one says YouTube.
Oh, it might be on YouTube as well, yeah. Oh, I'm sure there's some sort of YouTube for it. That'd be good.
Yeah. But yeah, you're right. It's like got no...
They had a commercial for it during the show. Let me see if I can scrub and find it on YouTube TV because I recorded the game, so I can rewatch it at another point because it's a fun game. Let's see, library.
I was gonna say, going through the guide, maybe you might be able to find it.
Sports. That's MLS. Okay, events. It's weird how they have this thing sectioned out sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Like on YouTube TV, like some things are listed as events, some things are listed as sports.
Right.
It's like trying to figure out which is which. All right. So There's U.S. versus Panama. Where's halftime? It was definitely on halftime that I saw this ad.
Here we go. Got it.
You got it?
World Cup final draw for the 2022 FIFA World Cup Qatar is going to be on Fox Sports Plus, FS1, Universo, Telemundo.
All right, so it will be on FS1, huh?
Nice. Cool.
Yeah, I couldn't scroll through YouTube
I just searched it.
TV. That's what I've been searching.
Yeah, hold up.
YouTube TV, I've been searching on the schedule, and I cannot find it yet. And it would take a long time to scroll. The way that I was looking to scroll over to Friday.
Yeah.
I had only got as far as Tuesday, I think, and I was like, I cannot keep scrolling right now. This is killer. All right, cool. So it's on their website and FS1.
Mm-hmm.
All right. You know who's leading us to glory on Wednesday?
On Wednesday? I have a feeling I know, but I don't know, Jordan. Who would be?
It is.
The phenom guy, right? He's like the LeBron James of soccer.
I didn't know
LeBron James of soccer.
Yeah. For whoever that might be.
In our hearts, it's Christian Pulisic, and he will lead us to glory on Wednesday. Do you have any predictions on if they're actually going to go for this? Kind of sit back and counter, and do you think they can win? They have never won in Costa Rica for qualifier.
You know what's funny? I was thinking about this today. I'm like, I feel like a 1-0 draw or a 1-0 win for the U.S. is coming. I feel like this is a time when Greg could put in some of these guys and go, you know what? Now's your time, right? Seriously, think about this. The guys that are on the bench, guys like Jordan Morris, guys like Paul De La Torre, maybe guys like Pepe. This might be a time where Greg looks at them and goes, all right, guys, Aaron Long, this is your time to prove that you belong in the World Cup roster, right? We are on the doorstep, probably getting into the World Cup, 99.9% chance. This is your time to look at, this game as a precursor to what could come, right? Because there might be some times in the group stages where these guys are going to be relied upon. And I think this might be a good instance to kind of drive those guys and say, hey, this is it, man. This is your time to prove that you belong on this World Cup roster because it's coming up quickly. And the only thing we'll have left after this is really just, some of these games where we're playing friendlies, or is it gold? Which one? Isn't there a cup coming up? I think it's one of the CONCACAF
Nations League.
Nations League. That's what it is. Yeah. So I don't know. This is a good time to prove one last meaningful game in qualifying. And then Jordan, it's wild. There won't be another meaningful international game played on U.S. soil until after right at the 2026 World Cup for the U.S. men's national team. That'll be wild.
It is crazy, yeah. And then we don't know how qualifying is going to look for after that because 2026 is expanding to 48 teams anyway. So if they are going to, if they're going to have it still at 48 teams, which they probably will for 2030, we may not even need this qualification method where I don't know what they'll do. I mean, how many CONCACAF teams make it? All right, well, maybe the whole maybe the whole octagon makes it, right? I don't know. It's something that we have to figure out still, I think. But let's take a quick moment for the Game of the Week preview as we switch back over to MLS.
It's time for the Match of the Week preview.
All right. So starting Saturday at 3:30, Chicago faces off against Dallas. That is on Univision, TUDN, and Twitter. Cincinnati versus Montreal at 4 o'clock at TQL Stadium. Toronto versus NYCFC at 4 o'clock. Crew versus Nashville at 6 o'clock. DC versus Atlanta at a 7:30. Revs versus New York, Red Bull at 7:30. Orlando versus LAFC as their brutal stretch continues. Philadelphia versus Charlotte at 7:30 at Subaru Park. San Jose versus Austin at 7:30. Miami versus Houston at 8 o'clock. Minnesota versus Seattle at 8 o'clock. Vancouver versus SKC at 8 o'clock. And Colorado Rapids versus RSL at 9 o'clock. And then on Sunday, one game, Portland versus LA Galaxy at 4:30 on FS1. And then we have Champions League starting that Wednesday the 6th, but we'll talk about that next time. Did you want to pick a game out of these? We won't pick one for Sunday, obviously, because it's already there, but you can pick any game from Saturday or Sunday that you think is intriguing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to go Orlando LAFC. Playing at Exploria, so Orlando has a chance. Sit fourth currently in the table. LA sits first in the West. I think that's got I think it's got the abilities to be a top game on Saturday. I think it's got some goals in it. I think you're going to see a full roster for both teams because guys are coming back off the break. Facundo Torres back with Orlando. You got Chicho coming over from LAFC to play. I don't know. I'm really excited to see just how LAFC and Orlando stack up against one another. I think LAFC's so far shown that they can be a title contender. If they can keep that pace up, then it should be a pretty interesting game. But I'm looking forward to any time that a Western Conference team comes over and plays in Orlando, just because I think we've got the advantage in the way that the weather is. I think we've got an advantage in the fact that our stadium seems to pack these kind of games. So I don't know, it'd be a pretty fun game to watch. I think that there's I'm going to say that there's a lot of goals. I'm going to say there's like a 3-2 or a 3-3 or something like that. I'm going to go lots of goals, lots of fun. Fast-paced game. We'll see how that kind of pans out for me because Orlando has been pretty solid defensively. So I guess we'll see.
That'd be fun. I am going to go with – I was tempted to pick Union Charlotte, but since you just picked your team, I think I'm going to go with something else. I think I am actually really intrigued by Crew versus Nashville. Kind of Nashville maybe being able to get right after a little bit of a stumble in the West and pick up some points against an Eastern team that they've played a few times and kind of are more familiar with.
Yeah, that was the other one I was debating on. I was like, okay, I don't know, but I really wanted to do the LA game, so it was trying to convince her to go.
I mean, Crew are in second place with 8 points, so it's not going to be like an easy matchup for Nashville, but Nashville has slipped as far as 12th place after a pretty good start that they're going to have to try to get it right. So that's my pick for Match of the Week preview, and we will start unwinding.
We're starting the night drive, man.
So yeah, Friday, maybe a short preview on World Cup draw.
Yeah, definitely.
We could probably talk real quick about Costa Rica game. I don't think there'll be too much action to really talk about there.
Yeah.
That way, the next episode on Monday could just be focused solely on MLS, I think.
Sounds good.
Had some U.S. Open Cup games happen, too. That was a lot of fun watching those games, but maybe we'll dive in a little bit more to that next week.
Yeah.
As we get ready for their next games next week. So that's probably the best time to preview that. But yeah, thanks for listening. I hope everyone enjoyed. I hope all the U.S. men's national team fans are sleeping a little easier. Maybe they're just keeping people's names out of their mouths and
enjoying a night drive.
Enjoying a night drive and gonna take it easy. If you want to give us a follow, it's on @Stateside Show on pretty much every platform: Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, etc. And we will catch you all Friday for a World Cup draw. Nothing witty? Okay.
I didn't know. I didn't know if you were waiting on me. I mean, I can come up with something, but I'm sure it'll go disastrously well. Yeah, I got one for you, Jordan. How about this one? If Christian Pulisic's the LeBron James of soccer, we got to find the MJ of soccer, because then we can have the nice debate of who's better, MJ or LeBron.
Well, the MJ is Landon Donovan right now, buddy.
All right. Well, there you go, fans.
Debate it all you want.
Now you know Landon Donovan's better than Christian Pulisic.
It's true.